Okay, we're on lesson 132. It's another tough lesson, I gotta tell you. Listen to this. Perhaps you think you did not make the world, but came unwillingly to what was made already, hardly waiting for your thoughts to give it meaning. I don't know what you do with that. I'm going to tell you something. There was a moment that I had early on, and I've never really known how to talk about it or describe it, but I remember all of a sudden being a being, not a body, not even a world, being a being. And in a sense, I don't know how else to talk about it, found myself in an unfamiliar place, one that I didn't recognize. And suddenly, the thought came to me, oh, in order to be here, I must have a past and a future. And there was the world, full blown. I had a family that I was born into. I had a situation I was living in. I had a world all around me. I had things that I had been doing since I was born into this world. But I couldn't tell, and I remembered there was this idea of a Bible in the world. What came first, the chicken or the egg? I, at that moment, was not able to distinguish who came first, the chicken or the egg. And I've had to use the guidance that I get through Jesus and A Course in Miracles to make sense of everything that has gone on in my life, both the past that I felt that I seemed to have brought with me in that instant, to deal with the future that I seem to have to live into as I continue to live or think that this is a world or a reality at all. Now, it took, believe me, and that's when, in my experience, I was promised a direction and a guidance so I would no longer have to do this. And when I was handed A Course in Miracles, I knew for a fact that this was the guidance and the direction. And from that time, in a sense, I had not tried to make sense of the experience as to which came first, the chicken or the egg, because it's made no difference. My only question has always been, okay, how do I come to understand this and utilize this course in the continuing understanding of my experience of myself as a way to know what's going on around me, heal myself of the past I thought I had that I used to justify the life that I was living, so that I would not have to repeat that and can live to the promise that I was made by the voice that was communicating with me from not here. I'm not sure if that makes any sense to anybody, but that's how I have been, that's why I do this, and how I've been given to do this. I was also given the recognition experientially in that entire period of time that I was saved and everyone was saved with me. And the only thing that's ever been important to me, and I'm not saying I have perfected this technique or I have lived to the perfection that I understand is possible. I'm just saying the only thing that's ever been important to me since that is the following of the guidance and the directions that I am given to live from the center of that experience back to the point where I recognize myself as that light, but with the awareness of where I was prior to that, remembering where I was prior to the forgetting when I brought the world with me when I came. Now, that may sound totally crazy to many people. And some of the times I'm told, don't say that to that person. You can't express that. It's not really expressible. It's living from a center. Like I've tried to use this. I've tried to use this sort of image as a way to show you how my mind understands things and how I work. It's like an hourglass, and I'm living at that center of the hourglass where the sand goes through, where it winds down and it goes through grain by grain to measure the time. That's me right there. That's the center of the vortex. One side of the hourglass is reality, the other side is the unreality of the world. And I'm living in that center, allowing the sand on all sides of it. Space and time as a vast illusion. It's all going on all the time. And I'm living from the center of that, both in and out, in a sense. I don't know how else to talk about it. So what seems to be past is only what I'm bringing with me now. It's still here. There's no link of memory to the past in that sense, if that makes any sense. All of space and time is going on all the time within me. So it's not a linear thing. And you can go to any point of it anytime you want, future or past, if it is within the necessity for you, or me individually, to understand and be there. So Jesus makes a statement at some point in time ago. He says, I attempted, and I can't use that, I don't know the exact words, I attempted to correct or heal all the mistakes man cannot correct on his own. Okay? And in the Bible he talks about we all have our own measure. We all have our own measure. We all have our own portion. We all have our own, how should I call it? Portion. We all have that which we're given in this seemingly set lifetime to convert in our own mind. And when I say convert, I mean utilize the light of the understanding of the Holy Spirit to get the correction for the prior thought that it was a love lack, or it was a reality that sort of entrapped us, or it was somebody was to blame other than us. However you're conceptualizing in your mind. My life is given, I'm given a portion of what it is that needs to be converted. Now that's the entirety of what I need to be converted. And that includes everyone and everything in my life. I don't know any more than that, nor do I need to. Since the utilization of a lesson such as this, I loosed the world from all I thought it was. Now, when I read this lesson, this perfectly described the experience I had, and I knew this course was for me. I see that in every lesson. I don't necessarily, I see it more so in what we would consider to be the denial side of it, because when I understand that Jesus recognizes me in my denial and does not condemn me, but helps me understand what I've been doing to myself in order to free myself from what I've been doing, so that the future in this instant is rewritten and it's not going to be like the past. But you only have one day in that sense. There is only now. You can't prove, except by utilizing the external world around you, that there was actually a yesterday and that there's going to be a tomorrow. You can't prove it. You can use it to prove it if you would like, if you need proof, but you could also use it as the portion that you're given to utilize in the own transformation and forgiveness and purification of your heart and mind. As your portion. As the measurement that you are given to meet. And as we remember within it how we previously thought we met it and still carried it forward, we can defer to the understanding of the Holy Spirit, which is the healer, the great healer, the comforter. Take comfort in his lesson and joy at the ability to learn it, and have it be translated so that it is no longer a factor in how we advance through space and time. How we finally come to the beginning and the end of time, so that when we take the next step back with God, we preclude the necessity for ever repeating space and time again. I know there are people who can hear this, because I know there are others who understand yourself exactly like I do now, and we are contemporaries in this. I know that each and every one of us will come to understand this and know this, because having experienced the totality of salvation, there's nothing left out, no one left behind. That would not be a possibility. I don't really even know how many are actually involved in this. I know it's not the multiplicity and the fragmentation that seems to presented to me in the visual acuity of me looking outside of myself and seeing a world of billions of people. But I do know that I have been given this workbook, these lessons, and the precise descriptions that he uses to verify the experience I'm having in my mind, in the continuing recognition of the unreality of the world, so that I can continue in the constant revealing of who I am as I sojourn in space and time, back to the recognition that I never left, and perform that as an actualization in my own demonstration to myself that God is love, and therefore so am I, and so are you, and we all are that. And none of this ever affected that reality whatsoever. You have enslaved the world with all your fears, with doubts and miseries and pains and tears. That's beautiful language, isn't it? You have enslaved the world with all your fears, with doubts and misery, pay your pains and tears, and all your sorrows press upon it, and keep it a prisoner to your beliefs. Death strikes it everywhere, because you hold the bitter thought of death within your mind. Yes, okay, now, I remember, although you still can't prove to me that it happened in a linear past, I remember that I hold the bitter thought of death in my mind, because my past seems to present death to me. So I know I hold the bitter thought of death in my mind. I also hold the remembrance of the fact that I brought the world with me when I came. And death was part and parcel to the world that I brought with me. But I know there was a priori me that was not that, and I merely got lost in that instant, and found in that same very instant. If that presents a paradox, I can't help anybody. I can help you with a technique to deal with the paradox in your own mind, because there is no paradox in oneness. It's not possible to have a paradox in oneness, yet we can use these paradoxes as ways to hold ourselves, position our mind, so that the revealing could be a constant thing, or as constant as we need it to be for ourselves to remember the truth of who we are and the value that is given to us in these lessons when we're reading from a divine mind, giving us both sides of the equation, where I can recognize each is true. I recognize my own wholeness in the wholeness of Jesus' expression. And I remember who I am prior to me getting lost in that moment. Now it's all going on in my mind. It's all going on in me. Just like it's all going on in you. Now you could use that to judge me and as crazy or adjudicate me, or I could use it to say, see, you're the blah, blah, blah. But none of that really means anything in the long run. When I recognize I brought the world with me when I came, so therefore I am responsible for the salvation of the world that I brought with me. That's all I can do. I can't do more than that, although the ego is always going to add something to the equation, make you think you can do more or make you think you could do less, so as to remove you from the spot where it's all occurring in you and try to keep you distracted from there in its attempt to be something it's not. Because when this dream is over, that thought no longer has any power or any effect. And it's presenting its feeling of being disowned to you as you disown it as being your reality, not as being your thought. It's your thought. It's my thought. I'm dispossessed from my reality when I give that thought causation rather than accepting the causation for that thought in my mind. Salvation is easily achieved for anyone is free to change his mind. And all his thoughts change with it. Yes. All my thoughts changed with me in that instant, and they continue to change to verify the truth that I brought the world with me where I came. It is not my reality. My reality is prior to bringing that thought. I can remember that now, and I can live at the center. I can live from the center, the core of my being. The very center, the core of my being. I could sink my mind into my heart in the core of my being and allow myself to receive all the help from the real side to help me in my sojourn through the falsity, with the recognition of I'm not going to have to do this again. If I look at everything I thought I had to do again with new eyes, and the help of Jesus in A Course in Miracles, who obviously has been through this. So obvious, I don't know what else to say about it. I don't know how to even deal with it. She even says, I was an illusion of a man who saw the face of Christ in all my brothers. He's admitting to being exactly like you, giving you the formula for the use of your mind, mapping out your psyche the way it's mapped out. And he, as an explorer, he was an explorer. He was the original explorer. I don't know if this is making any sense. I know that to many it will sound crazy. And those who do it sounds crazy are going to try to convince me that I am the crazy one. Yet, everything that goes on, when I stop and ask for the help from the core, from the center of my being, begins to make sense and become understandable. It all fits into place, like the puzzle fits perfectly into place, and I can see the perfection of myself in my reality, and the perfection of the plans, a perfectly orchestrated plan. It's a well laid out plan, systematic. It accounts for everything. The ego accounts for nothing. God's plan for salvation and the enactment of it in your mind, in my mind, accounts for everything. Every jot and tittle. I know Jesus is true in this because I see myself so readily in every single word he says. No interpretation is required. Oh, yes. Ideas leave not their source. Of course not. I never left the mind of God. And the idea of separation, the ego never left my mind, but it's not my cause. God's my cause. Reality is my cause. And now I can allow that cause to be remembered here to utilize everything for the single purpose of that cause. Here it's forgiveness. Reality, it's creation. Same action of mind, parallel purpose. And as we get closer and closer to the end of the vista, they converge in infinity, in eternity. The central theme is often stated in this text and must be borne in mind if you would understand the lesson for today. What's this going to say? There is no world. You brought the world, I brought the world. I'll take responsibility. You want me to be responsible, I'll take responsibility. I brought this world with me when I came. I'm sorry, I made a mistake. You happen to be part of my mistake. Forgive me, and let's move along. You're not causing me to live in an unreality. There is no cause. The ego's not the cause. The unreality is not the cause. This is a reversing of the effects that we thought gave us cause and caused us to be what we're not and caused us sickness, pain, and suffering. It's the reversal of seeing those effects previously as being cause, returning cause to where it's truly cause, which is our mind that's joined with God, and reversing the temporal order so that we see truly and we can be upset and continue the journey without the necessity to allow what distracted us to continue to keep us in bondage. I think I've said enough. This is the central law. There is no world. This is the central concept the Course attempts to teach. Not everyone is ready to accept it. Okay, I get it. That's why people think I'm crazy. I'm ready to accept it, and I'm accepting it right here and right now. And each must go as far as he can, let himself be led along the road to truth. He will return and go still farther, or perhaps step back a while and return again later. Now, I understand that's what goes on. And I understand all the use of the denial of that people use in order to people the world for me with the denial so as to not participate in their own mind. Yet that makes no difference to me. That's not my function. My function is to take the portion that I'm given, utilize it in the totality of my own awareness and self-revealing, and to continue on the journey without being waylaid once again. I've remembered what I forgot. I've used the forgetting to continue to remember, and now I'm in a condition of being able to constantly remember by following the guidance that gets me beyond space and time, because there is nothing in space and time that can get me beyond space and time. It is only that which is not in space and time that has the ability to show me what it is. Now, from the vantage point that I remember in the experience that I have, it happened and then unhappened. Nobody left heaven. So anybody who thinks they're lost out there, they only think they're lost, and they, as this statement says, not everyone's ready to accept it. And each one must go as far as he can allow himself to be led along the road for truth. He will return and go still further. That's my assurance. That's my assurance of my own recollection. So I don't have to use the images that can't go any further yet, that will not allow themselves to go any further, that won't let themselves go any further, to delay me longer. I can hold them in my heart and hold them in my mind as being the totality of the salvation that was already achieved, and continue on my way. Get thee behind me, Satan. Yet even Satan is a thought in our minds that comes home with us. Okay, I've belabored this long enough. But healing is the gift for those who are prepared to learn there is no world and can accept the lesson now. See, healing. You can get rid of symptoms, but the healing remains until we accept. The healing remains held in check until we accept there is no world. So there's nothing outside of us that could ever have caused us to be anything other than the perfect thought in the mind of God, whole in the perfection and eternal nature of the infinite love of our reality is. For heaven's sake, I've said enough. Thanks, everybody.